Surge in COVID cases reported in last 48 hours. Calls to support health sector. And Kina acquisition of Westpac shares explained.
This is National EMTV News with Dennis Orere.
Good evening and welcome to Friday's news. The National Control Center has recorded its highest positive cases in the past 2 days. More than 500 cases were reported, with the death toll reaching 39. In yesterday's briefing, Prime Minister James Morobe appealed to all citizens to follow preventive measures announced by the controller. PM Morobe says his government is striking a balance to ensure systems of government are working and the country's health is not at stake.
The last 24 hours was possibly the highest to date, 560 cases. And for deaths that have been recorded as directly linked to COVID, from those known deaths, 39 deaths have taken place reporting to COVID. And so, let me appeal to our citizens. James Morobe is not playing politics when I talk about COVID-19. And I want to encourage our country. We're finding a fine balance between trying to stifle activities, especially productive activities, especially in the space of economy and public service. Instead of stopping and grinding it to a halt or stifling it, we're trying to maintain a fine balance between keeping our economy running and functioning, keeping our public service being served to our people, but at the same time, stopping unnecessary movement of people who have no reason to move around from place to place. At the same time, through collaboration with our own MESAC and our health department recommendations.
State agencies in collaboration with health expert advice are finalizing vaccine protocols before its rollout begins. Prime Minister James Morobe says though the vaccine is not compulsory, health workers and other frontliners will be the first to get a jab. PM Morobe also dismissed calls made by opposition leader Belden Nama to suspend the use of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Cadet journalist Esther Thailam with this story.
In yesterday's briefing at the NOC 19 headquarters, Prime Minister James Morobe says authorities are finalizing the immediate protocols for the administration of the AstraZeneca vaccine for Papua New Guinea. He says while the vaccine is not mandatory, as much as possible, the health workforce must be protected, including other frontliners. The Prime Minister says the vaccine protocols are expected to be announced next week.
It is in their best interest to get themselves vaccinated. So we're working with WHO, working with our own MESAC, working with our health department and team of doctors who assist us from time to time. We have allowed for these vaccines to come in. The vaccine protocols are going in place hopefully by Monday or next week. Those who need to be vaccinated based on their own, they agree, especially our health workers will be given first consideration. And then the rest will roll on from there. I've also indicated those who work in our key places in the economy, if they want to get themselves vaccinated, they must be also in the list.
The first supply of the AstraZeneca vaccine arrived earlier this week. However, the opposition leader has come out publicly criticizing its use while questioning its credibility. Mr. Nama urged the Morobe government to withdraw its use in the country.
I do not want to see our government exposing our citizens to potential serious harm and offering them up as laboratory rats and guinea pigs for further testing of this vaccine. I see a far more serious health crisis if the AstraZeneca vaccines causes serious side effects because of our country's weak and ill-equipped health system.
Mr. Nama's concern was dispelled by the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister says the vaccine is safe and applicable. PM Morobe says the vaccine is here to assist the country and the pandemic and help the mass population.
Vaccine and voluntary or semi-talk. You feel you like kissing, but you kiss him next week onwards. But team medical line blame me by putting protocols. Outside, they can go first kiss him COVID-19 vaccine. Outside can come behind protocols by me establish him. Now you got proper protocol, na proper order long kissing vaccine. Suppose you feel you need long kissing vaccine. And I can't be irresponsible as Prime Minister not to have a vaccine available for those who need assistance in the immunity. Natural DNA and immunity is not strong enough to resist the COVID-19 and also the risk that is involved in it. So I don't fall for a response to opposition leader. As far as I know, he's the opposition. He's not in government. And government's got to do what government feels right, assisted by research and statistics.
Professor John Vince from the University of Papua New Guinea says the AstraZeneca vaccine has been used by millions of people around the world. Brushing aside its side effects, Professor Vince says the AstraZeneca vaccine is applicable for use in the country.
Why is this vaccine a good one for Papua New Guinea? Because it's safe, and I'll talk about that in a minute. B, it's easily stored. We can store it in our ordinary fridges that we have for storing our own vaccines, our polio vaccines, our measles vaccine, and so on. It's the same conditions of storage. It lasts for quite a long time under those circumstances.
Esther Thailam, National EMTV News.
Former Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has urged the Morobe-led government to support the country's health sector. O'Neill says COVID-19 has clearly indicated the need to rebuild, maintain and fund the functions of a working health system. The former Prime Minister says more needs to be done.
In an interview with EMTV News this week, the former Prime Minister spoke highly of backing the country's health system. Mr. O'Neill says health cannot be jeopardized in any government. He says more needs to be done.
But the government must invest, particularly operational funds. They can't even buy drugs today in the hospitals, and hospitals are closing. They can't pay for their casual wages. They can't pay for electricity. They can't pay for water. These are simple operational funding that hospitals must have to make sure that they keep the doors open so patients can go there and get treatment and basic health care.
The PNG leader claims his government has done its best to ensure the health structure was adequately funded despite constraints. Mr. O'Neill says COVID-19 has highlighted the need to refocus priorities in maintaining a better health service for the people. The former Prime Minister says funding must be made available with a working plan.
But this crisis is not something that it's political. It is something that has come into our country. COVID-19 is a virus that has entered our country. We must be able to manage it. There must be no complacency. It is not about blaming people. It is about providing strong leadership and funding so that we can overcome this particular virus in the coming months.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister James Morobe says the ruling government is ensuring the health of the nation remains a priority. He says through the Provincial Health Authority structure, appropriate funding will be released. PM Morobe says COVID-19 is not a political agenda.
We have budget capacity in our budget to shift, and we're trying to remobilize. Health, COVID has become a number one issue, shift all focus to health sector to ensure that it is up and running, but it is really dependent on the plan that is generated from the health department, health sector, not from politicians like me. And government are trying best right across our country. Long time make sure that we play support in health department, ego more yet, and I use him this like COVID time. Now building bigger, better health services and facility in the country. So
Jack Lapawa Jr., National EMTV News.
The Medeng Provincial Hospital has enforced strict COVID-19 orders to control the movement of people going in and out of the hospital premises. Director of Public Health, Dr. Martin Diamond, says screening will be done at the point of entry before allowing people into the hospital grounds.
The Medeng Provincial Hospital is now strict on the movement of people in and out of the hospital area. Those who want to access the hospital must follow the preventative measures, including wearing a face mask. The nursing officers at the gate must get temperature readings of all persons and washing of hands in and out of the entry point.
Nuclear passing strategy is very simple and it is cost effective and it can prevent a lot of adverse events.
The hospital's response was to protect its workers and patients from COVID-19 after 10 of the hospital staff were infected with the coronavirus and are on isolation.
And Medeng Provincial Hospital is one of the big hospitals that we have in the country. It is responsible for specialized operations. Also, we have training students. We cater for 7 different schools. We provide training for those different schools as well. And it is very, very important that our public, our people coming in for specialized care must protect yourself in order to protect us, our health workers.
The technical committee has also advised shipping companies to reduce the number of passengers by 100, while PNG operators are advised to cut the number of passengers down by 5 people.
Limiting movement of people and enforcing the preventative measures to minimize the assets in the province and prevent deaths.
The Medeng and local level government had started carrying out inspections in all designated market areas. The inspections were aimed at informing people to follow the COVID-19 orders whilst carrying on their business activities. Martha Louise, National EMTV News, Medeng.
You're watching National EMTV News. More of the day's stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Members of the PNG Defence Force have been called out to assist the municipal authority enforcing the Mask Port Moresby campaign in the city. It is a joint initiative by National Capital District Commission in collaboration with NCD Health Authority, Disciplined Forces, especially Police and Defence, and Pacific Corporate Security. City Manager Bernard Kippit commended them for this collaboration to stop the widespread community transmission of COVID-19 in the city. Mr. Kippit warned that if city residents do not want the pandemic controller to inflict another strict measure, they must wear masks when moving around. The campaign started this week. Members of the Morobe Doctors Association have given the Department of Personnel Management until next Wednesday to respond to their concerns over limited staff at the hospital, or they will walk off their jobs. Morobe Doctors Association President Dr. Barry Mutang said Angao urgently needs more doctors given the COVID-19 surge in the province. They've demanded DMP to fast-track the recruitment process or transfer the powers of recruitment back to the Provincial Health Authority.
Members of the Morobe Doctors Association met on Wednesday to raise their concerns on staff shortage, which is currently being faced by the hospital. President of the association, Dr. Barry Mutang, said it has been an ongoing issue and the doctors are now feeling the strain of being overworked given the COVID-19 surge in the province. Doctors from Angao have been reported to be also attending to patients at the COVID-19 center.
It's the same team of doctors you see here that are also expected to step up to managing our COVID patients who are too sick to be isolated at home that need inpatient care. We are now forced to isolate them over to the stadium.
Dr. Mutang said they have written to the Department of Personnel Management requesting for recruitments to be made quickly. However, that has not been done. Angao Hospital currently has less than 40 doctors. The required number of doctors that's supposed to be serving the MPHA is 80. Following the delay in the recruitment process, the doctors are now calling on the Department of Personnel Management to transfer recruitment powers back to the Provincial Health Authority.
So people like him all of you act quickly, okay? Because
Mipla true workload down lo manpower every day. Every day, some good number of medical officers and nursing officers and health support services all workload down. Now in a long time, everybody buy. You me back sick na me plan na stop lo work. Look out the molnar problem na even it's like sick COVID too.
If we don't hear anything promising, nothing is done practically, then 406 next Wednesday we stop work.
Meanwhile, the DPM secretary has responded saying the staff selections were initially scheduled for February this year, however was delayed by the COVID-19 lockdown in the province. DPM has stated that the Provincial Health Authority CEO, Dr. Kepas Binga, has agreed to conduct the selections next Tuesday via a Zoom meeting. Charlene Airy, National EMTV News, Leh.
The New Island Savings and Loan Society keeps expanding centers in the province. The society officially opened its branch at Konos in the central LLG. New Island Governor Sir Julius Chen officiated the opening. The vision and purpose of the society is to create a pool of funds to assist its financial members through loans to better their standard of living, especially for low-income earners and the rural population. He said all members are stakeholders and are owners of the institution. The New Island Savings and Loan Society has branches in Kavieng Town, Namatanai Town, Lihir, Umbakul, and Silur. The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission has announced that it received an authorization application from Kina Securities Limited on 17th March 2021, where Kina Securities is seeking authorization from the ICCC to acquire 89.91% of shares in Westpac Bank PNG Limited. Speaking at a media conference this morning, ICCC Commissioner Paulus Ain says the proposed acquisition has met the threshold required under Section 81 of the ICCC Act for mandatory notification and seeking approval from the ICCC to proceed with the acquisition.
Initially, they made an application for a clearance. And we have gone through this process together, and we were of the view that they should make a submission for an authorization. And they have now submitted this application for authorization. The authorization process is purely to assess on the competition effects and the public benefits. And it has nothing to do with the ICCC deciding on who buys. This is something that the ICCC does not or is not required by law to do this. The process that the ICCC will conduct is very transparent, and it is very important for the people of this country.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina will buy $0.2775 $0.3589 Australian dollars, $0.3923 New Zealand dollars, and 29.51 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower. Coffee and cocoa closed lower, copra closed higher. Palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. Trukai Sports is next. All the details after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The PNG Hunters will take on the Ipswich Jets this Saturday at the Bycroft Oval as the Intrust Super Cup rolls into round 2 of matches. Hunters coach Matthew Church has opted to keep the same lineup for this weekend's clash, showing faith in the side after their promising start last week.
The SP PNG Hunters have named an unchanged lineup for this weekend's clash against the Ipswich Jets. Coach Matthew Church has stuck with the same 17 players who almost pulled off a last-minute win against the Wynnum Manly Seagulls. The Hunters' spirited comeback against the highly rated Seagulls, despite less than 2 weeks' preparation, was the standout story of the first round. There were 6 Intrust Super Cup debutants last week, all of whom have retained their positions in the squad against the unpredictable Jets. Church stated that the side performed well and the players did enough to retain their spots, adding that the players should be happy with their performance in the first round, considering the difficult circumstances leading up to the match. Huxley Lovai, Chukai Sports.
Papua New Guinea's biggest sporting event, the PNG Games, is set to go ahead, and Acting Chief Executive Officer Micah James says host province Southern Highlands is on time with construction of game venues. An 80 million Kina investment into the PNG Games for facilities alone includes a main stadium in Mendi, a mini soccer stadium in Kagua, an indoor complex in Yalibu, and basketball courts in Nipa. Cricket facilities are also being erected in Mendi, including a new rugby league field. Acting CEO says the idea is to bring development where the people are, and sport plays a major role in achieving this.
Contractors are working 24/7, around the clock. Despite the COVID-19 transportation difficulties, the construction is going full speed. And the contractor has assured me that the project will be completed before the game starts in November. We already had a big meeting in Mendi. 22 provinces went to Mendi last year in November, and the council agreed that the game should be hosted, but that depends on how quick the facility has been constructed. That was last year's discussion. Going forward now in March, the facility is on target. Construction is happening 24/7. Funds have been made available, and there are more funds that needs to be made available to the contractor to complete. But while speaking, the construction, the project is going as per the schedule, and I believe that the project will be completed before the game begins in Mendi.
And that story ends Trukai Sports, the weather report for the next 24 hours after these messages.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports. This weather update is proudly brought to you by Moniplus, with you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby, possible rain showers with brief thunderstorms, then mostly fine morning. Daru, brief showers tonight, then fine, partly cloudy morning. Kerama, cloudy with a few showers and thunderstorm tonight, then fine morning. Alotau, partly cloudy tonight with morning showers. Popondetta, rain showers and drizzles tonight, then partly cloudy morning. To the Momase region, Leh, partly cloudy with possible late night shower too. Medeng, a few thundery showers tonight, then fine and partly cloudy morning. Wewak, a few thundery showers tonight and cloudy morning. Vanimo, occasional rain showers and thunderstorm tonight and cloudy morning. To the New Guinea Islands region, Buka, a few showers and possible thunderstorm, then cloudy morning. Kimbe, becoming cloudy tonight and morning showers. Kokopo and Rabaul, mostly fine, partly cloudy apart from morning showers. Kavieng, cloudy with associated showers and brief thunderstorm. Lorengau, occasional rain showers and thunderstorm, then cloudy morning. Into the Highlands region, all centers to have rain showers and drizzles, then morning fog. Forecast for small crafts for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru to Kiwai Islands to Kerema to Yule Island to Hood Point to Samurai Islands, with waters of Samurai Islands to Cape Vogel and eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, and with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters north of Cape Vogel to Huon Gulf to Finschhafen, with waters north of Long Island to Medeng, to Wewak to Aitape, to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, and with waters of New Island to New Britain and Bougainville, seas 0.5 to 1 meter. Waters of Finschhafen through Vitius and Dampier Straits to Siasi Long Islands, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Ocean forecasts for PNG areas. In the coral seas, seas light to moderate with east to southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots. In the Solomon Seas, seas smooth to slight with northeast to easterly winds of 5 to 15 knots. In the Bismarck Seas, seas smooth to slight with easterly to southeast winds of 5 to 10 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with easterly to southeast winds of 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's the news, sports and weather for Friday, 26th of March 2021. Pleasant viewing. Have a safe weekend. Good night.